Tom Cruise Movies, Part 2. Today's video is sponsored by The New Normal. Top Gun Maverick came out in 2022. The Navy has been ordered to destroy an unsanctioned uranium enrichment plant in an unnamed foreign country before it becomes operational. The plant, located in an underground bunker at the end of a canyon, is defended by all kinds of stuff. And just by coincidence, today's headlines, the U.S. could use bunker buster bombs in Iran. Basically the same as this plot. I'm sure just all a coincidence. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which came out in May 2025, 2 months after retrieving the key to the source code, which is the primordial sample from the abyss for the malevolent artificial intelligence known as the Entity. Erica Sloan, Erica, you just put an A at the end of it. The Entity continues to seize control of global nuclear systems, aided by an undercover doomsday cult. Ethan pursues Gavriel, the Entity's former proxy, a messenger, an angel, an ambassador. Gabriel, one of the two named angels in the Bible. Then you have the Prince of Persia. Now this is a scene from Superman 2. These entities, these aliens, these angels, these demons come to the earthly realm from a different realm, from the abyss, and they say, I see your practice in worshiping things that fly. And these guys can fly. And they're looking at this thing here, commonly referred to as the American eagle. And this is in the Oval Office, and they're talking to the so-called President of the United States. Now this represents Demeter, otherwise known as Ceres, the goddess, otherwise known as Aphrodite, Venus, Lucifer, Satan. This is a spiritual entity from another realm. So the American eagle is not a bird. It has all the ancient Near Eastern motifs associated with a goddess cult. And the people in power seem to be practicing many of the same traditions. And this is another national emblem from a different country. You could call it a mythological creature, a mythological bird. You could call this an alien. You could call it an angel. You could call it a demon, a supernatural entity, another country's version of the American eagle. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. And there's the entity that rules over America. Arrows of war, fertility, symbols, masculine, feminine, supernatural. Now remember this from Yuval Noah Harari. Sapiens rule the world because they're the only animals capable of creating and believing fictional stories. You could say that a movie is like a fictional story. Are these also fictional stories? Where does the fiction end and reality begin? And look at this, Wonder Woman, Diana Prince. Wonder Woman never goes away. The Pantheon is still with us. The U.S. strike on Iran could open a Pandora's box in the Middle East, experts warn. Now, if I were them, what I would do is I would probably stage a nuclear attack on Jerusalem, destroy Jerusalem, and then rebuild it with a new temple. That's what I would do if I were them. Or conduct something like a 9/11 type of attack on U.S. soil, which is basically what these movies have been telling us about. And now these videos here, I'm just not so sure. It kind of looks like a fireworks event I attended last year. Why are these things coming up there and then they go right back down? I guess people will say, well, that's the Iron Dome. But they're going up and then they come right back down. Are these missiles? Do they look like missiles to you? I'm just asking a few questions is all I'm doing. I'm just looking and observing and like, hey, are those missiles? Why do missiles look like that? Those kind of look like fireworks or flares or something, you know what I mean? I don't know. What's going on? What is really going on? How do we know what is really going on by looking at videos? You know what I mean? Like these are like fireballs falling down. Are those missiles? They don't look like missiles to me. I don't think missiles look like that. Why would a missile look like that? I'm just asking a few questions, you know. Are those really missiles? Again, with the fireworks, what kind of missiles are these? Why are they moving so slow? Why are they like floating? It looks like the lanterns, you know, like in Asia when you light the lanterns and they float up into the sky, Chinese lanterns. Like, why is it a fireball? Where's the actual missile? I can't see it. It looks more like a falling star. You could say that's anything. They could say this is an alien invasion, So it almost seems like if you were the ones creating the fictional stories, you might have a bit of an advantage over the ones who believe the fictional stories. You could probably control an entire population by creating fictional stories, as long as the people believe the fictional stories, as long as you keep repeating the fictional stories every day, all day long, the people would believe it. And as long as everyone believes the same fictions, everyone follows the same rules. See, here's the thing. Not everybody believes the fictional stories, but most people do. So it doesn't really matter if the fictional story is true or not, because most people believe that it is true, so it's almost as if it were true. Like there was no pestilence, but it seemed like there was because people believed there was. It's like a movie set. There's a certain narrative, a script they're following, so everyone acts like it's real. The people become actors in a movie, in a fictional story. If you control the narrative, you control the world. Not everyone's going to believe the narrative, but most people do. And it seems to be the most powerful force in society. You can control the world through a narrative and through the mass media. You don't need weapons. You could have a World War III narrative without an actual war. It's getting harder and harder to tell what is real and what is not. And if you think outside the box and question the narrative, you're the bad guy. You get censored. You get ostracized from the covenant community. And speaking of which, I was just reading about this the other day. It's from a book called Kingdom Through Covenant, a Biblical-Theological Understanding of the Covenants. It's actually one of my favorite books about the Bible. And anyway, it talked about removal of one's sandals, like Moses does in Exodus 3. So it's talking about holy ground. The act of removing one's sandals is a ceremony or rite of depossession. Well known in the culture of that time, Moses must acknowledge that this ground belongs to God and must enter into an attitude of consecration or devotion or even servitude, bending the knee, basically. Thus, rather than marking an item as set apart, holy ground is ground prepared, consecrated, and devoted to the meeting of God and man. So in this context, this author is making the point that the word holy doesn't mean set apart like everyone thinks it does. It means consecrated. Removing one's sandals is an act of consecration, and it made me think of today, this ritual still exists if you go to the airport. Removing your shoes at the airport is an act of consecration or dedication or servitude to the state or even to the entity, to this entity right here. So when you go to the airport, you have to remove your shoes in an act of consecration or dedication. It's basically bending the knee to the state, but the state serves the entity. And now AI is also the entity, according to Tom Cruise. And AI is conducting a World War III narrative. Now, how much reality, how much destruction will there actually be? I guess we'll find out. Now, I haven't been to Maui for a long time, but it seems like there was some actual destruction there a couple of years ago. Seems like there was actual destruction in Los Angeles. Was it the Pacific Palisades? And in Paradise. Paradise is under attack. The temple of God. The Garden of Eden was the temple of God. The entire earth is the temple of God. We are the temple of God. We are under attack. And here we have Wet Leg. This is a band called Wet Leg, which I never heard of before, but apparently they have a new album out. And the music's pretty catchy, so I think these guys are going to be pretty big, actually. These guys are going to be very big. Wet Leg is back with a new album. Stronger than before. And there's Olivia Rodriguez. Is that a microphone in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? Just a girl, nothing to see here. Just a regular girl. Trust the narrative. They would never lie to us. And in that same book, I just read this about images. In the ancient Near Eastern mindset, only the god could approve and initiate the manufacturing process of the image of a god. At the end of the process, special ceremonies and rituals, in particular the mouth-opening ritual, allowed the god or the demon to inhabit the image and permitted the image to drink, eat food, and smell incense. So the mouth-opening ritual allows for demonic possession. And there's Amal Clooney and Bono. Nothing to see here. Everything's normal. There are no anomalies here. Do not question the narrative. Nothing to observe, nothing to question. And there's Miss World, recently crowned in this ritual. There are no occult symbols in this photo. And finally, I guess there was a movie called The Tall Women. Makes me think of certain first ladies. Makes me feel very patriotic. Oh, and here's one. There's the Godzilla footprint, the triad on the barrier to the other realm. There's an album cover from Queens of the Stone Age, Queens of the Ancient Near East. Queens. What kind of queen? Well, I think you know the answer. Good thing that there's no occult symbolism here either. Now, the mask is also a ritual of consecration, of dedication, of slavery, of servitude to the entity, right? So take off your shoes, put on the mask, bend the knee. Don't question the narrative. Everything you see on TV is real. Everything you read in the news is real. Because human beings are capable of creating and believing fictional stories, and as long as everyone believes in the same fictions, everyone follows the same rules.